And if I'm mad, well, yeah, they're going to be sad lions before they're mad lions at this rate, looking at this Fnatic composition.
Honestly, Fnatic, Zyra Khan, I completely forgot about it, but I really like the lock-in. I think Rakan is super good against Trash, and it's very, very hard to go wrong with Zyra Khan in general, unless you're playing like against a really hard counter with a very strong jungle, like a Caitlyn Morgana with Elise or something. And this is a case where I think they can get away with a lot. Zyra Khan is going to scale super well into the game. We'll have to pay attention to that bottom side, because getting away from Olaf is super hard as MF Trash, unless Trash kind of positions with a Lantern or something like that.
I think on the mad side, though, good to see Humanoid has Zoe. That's going to be a relatively comfortable pick for him as well. Or for him, he's got the cleanse as well, so he can at least mitigate one of these ganks. I'm very concerned, however, Yamato, about Orome on the top side of the map. Not because of the matchup, but just because Orome isn't necessarily the strongest laner in the league, and Bwipo has, quite frankly, just been on fire for the past few weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. Especially into Aatrox, I am a fan of this side, especially because he actually benefited from some of the bruiser item changes that came in with the Blade Ruin King. It's such a good purchase because you punch twice, apply that passive twice from Blade Ruin King. And I think in general, whenever Orome is played like a champion that is, requires activity in the early game, because I don't think Aatrox scaling is that impressive, like for example a Gangplank or something like that. We'll just have to see, because I think you have a great point that Orome might be a target.
Absolutely will. Well, here we go. The final game of our first day of Week 9. Fnatic versus the Mad Lions. And Yamato, there's a lot to talk about here in terms of lanes, but right now I think we got to talk about level 1's Fnatic. 4 members stacked up in the bush, potentially looking to start this game off with first blood. Shadow has to be very careful.
Oh.
Spotted out. It looks like, yeah, Fnatic are going to walk away there. So they don't lose anything for doing that. They kill a ward, so technically are in the lead right now.
Fnatic is one of the few teams that actually gets in and does things level 1. It's such an easy way to kind of start off the game on such a strong foot, and especially with the Olaf. I like level 1 action in general. I support it.
I agree. I think it's one of those things where if you look at the potential risks on paper, a lot of teams might want to avoid it depending on how strong their level 1 is. But I think if you do it right, if you're grouped up and the enemy team isn't waiting 5 members stacked in the bush, it's mostly risk-free. Always a bit of a gamble, but Fnatic always seem to make it work now as we enter the laning phase. And inevitably, outside of the top lane, I got to put my eyes on the jungle. Yamato, Shadow, obviously a huge playmaker for Mad, but self-made on this very oppressive Olaf pick. What are the expectations here for the early game?
The key thing is Olaf needs to make sure that he uses his prior lane. I hope Syndra is going to contest in a very aggressive way. The key advantage Olaf has is, of course, that he clears faster. If Gragas gets to that point where he's level 7 and 8 and he's even with Olaf, all of a sudden Olaf is going to fall off. But he has a lot of good lanes here to work with, and as long as Olaf uses his advantage to get maybe Zyra Khan ahead, or maybe punish the Gragas in some shape or form, Fnatic's lanes are going to begin to kind of pay for themselves, and I think this is the approach that Selfmade needs to have. Needs to be aggression. I don't like the scaling approach when you play Olaf.
Absolutely agree. And that's why I always feel like Olaf is such a volatile champion. There's this pressure to get something done. It feels like anytime you see him on the Rift, he is 1 camp ahead and running to his 4th, whereas it's just the 3rd camp being started now from Shadow. Wolves into Raptors into red for Shadow. Meanwhile, entire top side now potentially into either Krugs or red buff. It will be red buff for Selfmade. So Olaf completely pulling ahead. Have to see if he even wants to go for any ganks at this stage. Bot lane has a lot of setup. Mid lane has a lot of setup. Only top lane really feels like it's kind of just doing its own thing.
I love the Olaf design. I don't think people appreciate it enough, because it's a Viking, Vikings just want to fight. They want to make it quick. They want to run it down, go to Valhalla, and then, their job is done. And then the rest of the late game is like, what am I doing here? I want to be sent to Valhalla. I'm 0-6 already. Make it quick. Make it quick, please.
It's like, I thought I died an honorable death. Send me to Valhalla. They're like, no, dude, you're back on the Rift. You're like, please, sir. This is it. I'm done. I died in battle. I would like to go now. Yeah, League's cruel that way, man. I feel like Olaf just wants to be free. He's just shredding through these keeps, waiting for his opportunity to die a glorious death. It's a rough life.
For sure, man. I wonder if that's his lore. I haven't read his lore. Would be surprised if it did.
Look, I'm just saying there's always more opportunities for a Yamato ASMR stream. We could make it a broadcast segment. It's an option.
Let's ship it, man. Let's ship it.
As we check in on the map, though, you can see actually Zoe doing pretty well in the mid lane matchup. About pretty significant CS lead, actually 10 up, burning through mana very quickly. However, you can see Nemesis at least has the advantage there. Only about 150 gold lead so far. And in the top lane, Bwipo's doing fine, and Arome's not falling behind, which is huge, because when you look at these top laners, Arome at 10 minutes is usually at about 70 CS. His opponent on average is at 80. So this is not a man who wins lanes.
And Bwipo got this beloved cheater base in. He has the longsword advantage. That's why Arome is pushing in now, and Bwipo can walk a bit more aggressively. On the other side, Mad Lion is also on bottom. You saw Misfortune got this cheater base in with the Doran's blade. So it's funny how both of these lanes interacted and have a slight advantage here. If Fnatic get this wave in, then it's super good for them because the cheater base is not going to matter and they're going to walk away with a recall. That's cool.
Easy to pull in, and now Bwipo, despite the level disadvantage, is just monstering that trade. Arome burns the Umbral Dash at the first Q proc on the Darkened Blade, means he can't really get any follow-up as Bwipo backs off, and like you said, 2 cheater recalls. And that's the thing I think that people often forget about MF Yamato. I think we talk about it a lot, but how ridiculous Strut is, the W, how much movement speed that gives you, how you just have free Mobies all the time.
Yeah, it's just a mobility boots, just active in your kit. And when you see those nerfs to Mobi boots, they cost 100 Gs more, and Misfortune's just giggling in her corner. It's quite OP, and I think Mad Lion is one of those teams that uses the best. That's why I was surprised that Misfortune got through in such a way, all the way to third pick, because Fnatic also liked it a lot, but the Zyra Khan is also juicy. I think Fnatic is not going to look any worse because they gave Misfortune away in this one.
No, definitely not. Humanoid keeping the pressure up in the mid lane. It is going to reset now as he does shove that wave in. Most likely has to look for a recall, but instead chooses to stick around. The Corrupting Pot keeping him topped up on mana, but this mid lane, you're like, I want to see an aggressive Syndra, and it feels like it's a lot more about aggressively pushing the wave on both sides than it is about trying to go for anything too crazy.
Mage versus mage, the usual, both have a defensive summoning cleanse, so there's not too much aggression. I think in this game state, considering Gragas is even, I think he's super happy. Infernal Drake, over the fact that Misfortune is out of mana, needs to base. So I like Fnatic that they're actually getting some kind of advantages. I think this game is going to blow up in about, around 3 minutes around the Rift Herald. Maybe we're going to see some kind of spike with a team fight. I'm hoping for it, at least.
Yeah, and I think Mad Lions have to be painfully aware of that potential swap to fight for the Rift Herald. Of course, have the additional movement speed on the MF. Maybe she can get there first. And remember, Fnatic, they're fighting for second, and that is going to be hugely important. It means that G2, now locked in first, cannot choose them in the playoffs, but Mad's battle is even more important, because fighting and getting into top 4 means you get that extra loss. You get the full double elimination experience instead of getting knocked straight to the losers bracket like Rogue and Misfits are set to if Mad Lions win this game.
That's absolutely nuts, considering the position Mad Lions came into the spring split. They have 4 rookies, any type of experience that you can get. The first best of 5 can look night and day different in comparison to the next best of 5. So this best of 1 can mean you can play 3 more games, and that's just insane by itself.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how the stakes have just added up, because this was a game that was poised to kind of mean something, right? But at the end of the day, Mad's schedule was so hard and Rogue's schedule was on paper so easy that it didn't feel like Mad had a real shot. Now, Rogue losing in a way that I don't think anybody expected. Kind of just an abysmal game from them, and a great game from SK on the inverse side means that suddenly Mad are playing for all the stakes in the world. It was like they needed to beat OG or they needed to beat Fnatic, and now it's a sure thing if they can beat either one.
Yeah, from experience, just playing the last game of the day when these days are so tight and you have like the stars aligning for you. SK just suddenly smurfing on Rogue's face and just getting away with a W, just absolutely huge. Crazy for Mad Lions.
And now, I mean, like you said, we're kind of just waiting. You said, I think about 9 minutes was kind of the expectation. When is the Herald going to get contested? Obviously, it'll spawn at 8, and it's clear Selfmade setting up in that area, so they're aware of the objective. Looks like they want to put at least some priority down onto it. Humanoid, though, definitely playing with fire there. Luckily has Shadow to back him up, but always have to give that Olaf respect. Can just ult his way out of your sleep at any moment.
We have a situation where... We have a situation where I feel like both lanes just are contesting the push so evenly. They're just kind of hitting the wave, and instead we have a situation where for the first time in a long time, it is the top side of the map that is contesting around Rift Herald. But it's so difficult to start it, because always when you start it, you're going to be in a worse position than the other team, because you are in that little cove. Sometimes the enemy has to face check you, but it's an interesting dynamic we don't see too often because usually it's the bot lanes that rotate up to the Rift Herald.
I feel like this situation isn't too bad overall. Just kind of means I think that we're going to have this stalled out action for at least a little while. I like the confidence here, though, from Mad Yamato. Moving in, contesting this red buff, trying to take at least some of this jungle away. They're going to blast on over and they're going to get spotted out, but they got 4 members on the bottom side. Selfmade's only 3. Syndra's not in the area. Fnatic.
TP.
And he used their TP. Bwipo has the TP advantage. Now he's looking to use it. Now he's zooming his way in and dunking right down, but the Thresh is there to deny the play, and that's the TP advantage as well as the flash gone.
I think Aroma just breathes out. Whew. He's like, I use my TP for my lane. I need to get back, beat by Ninja Tabi, and my team just secured this this lane phase for me because now the TP is gonna come off cooldown eventually, and they're going to be able to use this TP advantage. Aroma is super happy. It's always what you get nervous about when you play top lane and the enemy has TP and Prior. You're like, please don't get triple kill. And he just got away with murder there. Super good from that Alliance.
Absolutely. You look at your bot lane, you're like, please. I know it's my fault, but please don't die. It's all I ask. Don't give him a kill. Don't give him anything. Like, please, I swear, I will turn this around if you just do not die to Bwipo. And lo and behold, the prayers were answered. Bwipo not able to find anything there. Gold dead even as we get close to 10 minutes. Fnatic's real only advantage is the fact that they have the Infernal Drake. And we're slowly getting closer and closer to that Blade of the Rune King for Bwipo, which I feel like will make this matchup very, very hard for Arome, especially because he's gone for the Colt.
Well, what on earth is he buying? He's kind of buying a bit of everything, you know, the Doran Shield, Cull, Kindred Gem, Ninja Tabi. It just means he's going to finish whatever core item he's building, which is probably Black Cleaver so late. Whenever that Blade Runner King lands, as you just said, it's going to be tough in that side lane. Hopefully the Predator Gragas are going to back him up and cover for him. That's what he's praying for next.
Now finally we have the swap, the Ignite already going down just to stop that MF passive from going through. Big damage follow-up. Carzzy not afraid, however. Reckless stepping on the front line, flash forward. Reckless now in trouble, uses his ult, wants to pull the feathers back, but Reckless, no, biting off more than he can chew and coming out looking like a fool. Well played by Carzzy.
I can't believe it. Humanoid had a redemption in his hand. He just looted it on the wave and he's like, hey, I'm going to toss it up like a pizza up there. And then I don't think even Carzzy realized because he kind of stepped it into it so late. You gotta see the replay. It looked like such a free kill. The flash came out early. I thought Carzzy was gonna be dead for sure. The combo lands. Boom. The Guardian. And then there's the redemption. Where's this coming from? It's Zoe. Zoe looted it in the lane. It's so crazy that this happens because it's just the difference of 1-for-1 with MF losing the wave. Instead we have a 1-for-0 and Zaya's losing the wave.
And Yamato, sometimes we're playing League of Legends and sometimes we're playing Legends of Runeterra. Just like top deck redemption. Why not? You know what I mean? Just like draw the perfect card. Why not? Get exactly what you need on the Zoe. So, I mean, well played by Humanoid, well played by Mad, but for Reckless, that's one of those, I don't even think you can be upset. You can be upset about Zoe getting that, but you have to know, like, oh yeah, I was right, but my damage calculations go from being perfect to 300 off when there's a free redemption involved. Now have the Herald resets. Fnatic have to walk away empty-handed once again. Mad's starting to pull into the lead, and because Fnatic are the team to start it, Mad are now in a decent position to take it themselves.
I was surprised that the aggro bar wasn't going down for some while. I thought Fnatic thought of some new strategy where you can take Rift out behind the corner, but luckily it reset because it kind of blew my mind for a second there.
Yeah, I thought they were changing the game. Not going to come through, but Nemesis is now going to be in trouble. Body slam. Nemesis cleanses out. Flash in. That's going to be the Ignite. Humanoid. Once again, this man's rolling perfectly on these summoner spells. The Lantern, though, will not save Shadow. Humanoid doesn't need it. It's a bit embarrassing, but that means Selfmade will make it to 1-for-1.
We were talking earlier about how the stars have aligned for Mad Lions. Picking up an Ignite, securing the kill after the exhaust drops for Nemesis is just... it's so wild. It's so wild.
Wait, I think he got the Ignite top lane from Hylissang. I think
okay,
that's
thank
either
God.
I'm not sure. It's either the Creeper Hylissang. Without replay access, I couldn't look back and check, but pretty sure he got Redemption top lane, which gives him the kill. No, he didn't walk back to top lane. It is RNG. It is the creep.
My goodness.
What a time to be alive, man. Humanoid. This is why Humanoid plays Zoe. He's good at Zoe, and he's he's the best RNG we've ever seen.
What's coming next? I'm excited. You know, whenever those bubbles are going to float in on those minions, what he's going to pick up? Maybe a TP all of a sudden.
Ooh. I think you can get TP anymore. I think they took that out because it was just too broken. Lucky for him. Can only steal Blipos. Single TP in the game, which is interesting because Fnatic are usually, have more globals, have more potential to move around the map. Surprised to see them. I understand why they have to take cleanse mid lane, but surprised to not see them pack at least one more TP on this team composition.
I like what we're seeing though, you know, we might have like a boring and slow game, but it just kind of shows that both teams are contesting the right space. So it's all about that river control on top side, and both teams are dancing around it. Whenever Mad Lions are showing a river, Fnatic take prior from top, and then it kind of bounces back and forth. It's all about, you know, making sure when you face check these bushes that you don't get caught for like a hook or something. Oh,
good knockup. Charm, they're trying to follow through with all the CC that they can. They're going to take Shadow out before he can click the Lantern. Double, triple wards placed to deny that Lantern. Good coordination from Fnatic.
Luckily, there's no luck involved when it comes to lanterns. Just warding. Good catch there onto Shadow. Means that Riftel's going to be secured.
Another redemption. Nemesis is going to die. Oh, he's ticking. Corrupting Potion. Oh, outweighs the Corrupting Potion damage. Just barely living.
He's continuing. He's continuing. He doesn't stop Humanoid.
Humanoid is on a roll. And there's now a TP coming in from Mad. Not sure where we got. Oh, good news is Olaf is able to grab that one, but now he's running past Misfortunate Trouble. Self-made, playing like a man possessed. Connects, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Rome's going to come in and finish the job, but that was excellent from Self-made.
Valhalla, take me home! He just sacrificed his life there for the Rift Herald. The fact that he stole it is so huge.
That was the Warrior's death. That was the Warrior's death we were waiting for.
He could just send him to Valhalla straight away. All the beer that he ever wants. Just take it.
Look, he slayed the giant monster. He slayed the MF2. Perfect situation. That's a hashtag worth sort of trade. We'll see what he does with the Rift Herald. Maybe this can get Fnatic out of the gold hole that they're in. It's only about 1,000 down, a little bit less, as Rome's trying to get something done here, but has to be careful. Hillsang can just re-engage. Luckily, Shadow is in the area. And Fnatic with 2 Drakes up, feel like have evened things out overall, but I'm impressed with how Mad have been playing.
Yeah, Mad Lions have kept up, and Humanoid, I feel like we call him inconsistent always for a good reason, because most of the weeks he was quite inconsistent, but I feel like he kind of mellowed out and has been more stable the last weeks. I think the next thing that I'm looking forward to now is, you know, considering both of these compositions. Wait, whip on the bush. Whip on the bush.
Ooh, the long con. One man, one desire.
Clancy's back, huh?
Selfmade is pissed he didn't get into Valhalla. He's coming. He's running it down. Oh, he's trying to get something done, but Cars is just going to be able to grab the Lantern and walk away. Mid does not want to overcommit. We're going to try to find someone to suplex back into the tower to use as a fairy to safety. The sidestep on that big fat haymaker connects on Kaiser. That's going to be the 1-2 punch. Before flashing out, and Shadow buries him to safety with the cast. Incredible. Oh! Big whip on this cast, but now Bufo, they're still alive. Oh, the double up! Are you kidding me, Carzy? Carzy find that one. He's going to get another one. The haymaker's not enough. Double kill for Carzy, but he has to die in the process. What is this game?
My goodness, this was a 2v4. This was a 2v4 that ended 2 for 3. Oh my goodness, Fnatic get a full top tower, top side, they keep pushing, a lot of CS lost, Syndra's pushing mid. Everything is kind of collapsing here for Mad Lions because this dive was an absolute disaster. And on top of that, you know, I loved how the redemption fell, but then I actually saw that, you know, there's one in Kaiser's inventory, so thank God, you know, not another one is dropping in terms of RNG. Let's see this situation again, because Kazi gets saved by the Lantern, the redemption drops. How to see how this goes, because Whipper plays it so beautifully. He catches Thresh, gets his path into the turret, and gets the stun off, and that W is just humongous from so many people, man. It's very, very nice here from Whipper.
Gets the flash at the perfect time, so the cast sends him back under his own tower. With the Blade of the Rune King, he does so much damage. That was a generous angle on that double up. But it works in the end. Whippo gets taken out. Good haymaker from Whippo to turn it around as best he can, but that was... I'm going to watch that replay like 3 times after this cast, because that was just such a mess. It looked so cool, but no one walks away from that play like, yeah, okay, we played that one perfectly. Except for probably Whippo.
That was pretty damn wild. The change-up for this game, though, considering mid-turret is gone, that's so huge for a champion like Zoe. She always needs a lot of space to play with, having no mid-turret, no top turret. Fnatic got so much space to play with. We're going to see some crazy Hylissang flanks on top of Humanoid, because this is how you defeat a Thresh and a Zoe. When they don't have the protection of that mid-turret, it's going to become very difficult to contest the mid-priors, considering there is no Rift Herald for them to take to even that out as well.
And Rome is getting absolutely blasted here. Can try to get a bit more healing. The tower is going to keep him alive for now, but that Blade of the Rune King on top of the Executioner's Calling means Rome has a very hard time in the 1v1. But we're going to turn back, though. Very aggressive. Predator now on the way in. Whippo debating his options here. Has the Haymaker, has to wait, pulls back with the Facebreaker, can throw out the Haymaker now if he wants to, but it's too little too late, and a good collapse from Mad Lions. But now Humanoid is the man in trouble. There's no way he makes it out of this one. Hylissang just going to ult for good measure. Going to be a kill traded back for Fnatic.
Seems like Whippo also heard the rumblings of Valhalla. He just kind of ran up there and needs to pay attention to what Fnatic is doing on the map. They were hovering into bot side. Whippo was playing safe side there. He had the TP advantage, and the only play Mad Lions have there is to attack the TP, because otherwise you're going to be outnumbered, because Orome, as we mentioned before, has no finished item. He has a bit of everything. He kind of got everything on sale. You know, he went to a flea market, picked some stuff up. He's going to piece together some Black Cleavers and Death Dances soon, but at this point in time, Whippo is definitely a lot stronger.
It's like mom sent him out for groceries, and she's like, we need meat and we need vegetables. And he's like, I came back with rice. It was on sale. You know what I mean? The man can't resist a good deal, Yamato. He can't resist a good deal. I don't know what you want from him. At least he finishes the Black Cleaver now. Sadly, he dies on the top side in the meantime. And it's the goal lead for Fnatic. Still only 1,000, Yamato, but they have 3 Drakes. They're on Soul Point, and it's only 20 minutes.
It's all about, you know, we look at the items of every carry. Can Syndra finish an item within 3 minutes? Can Zai have an IE advantage within 3 minutes? The next goal and how Fnatic funnel it, or how Mad Lions funnel it, is going to change the next fight so much.
Very true. Hylissang, though, getting cheeky with the flash W over the wall. Not quite the entrance that he was hoping for, but Mad maybe going to try to find the flank. Have to be careful, though. Reckless knockback. Hook just barely not connecting there for Kaiser. And it's just a slow, steady siege in the meantime for the side of Fnatic.
I know this Humanoid, he gets kind of awkward sometimes when he needs to play side lane. Obviously with Zoe you don't want to, but now with the mid turret gone, it's hard to kind of use her at all. He was all the way down bottom, and Fnatic were like, oh, we're 45 on the top side of the map, let's pick up this turret, or at least do a lot of damage to it, so it's going to be a free pickup later. And Humanoid here showing some weird tendencies here with the Zoe. You want to send the Roma in the bot side, and you want to kind of play a 4-1 situation with the Misfortune Zoe. Maybe consider even putting Misfortune on side, because she's so much quicker with the movie boost that we mentioned earlier, so she can always move back after catching top side.
And Mad Lions is just a team that's kind of hard to predict. As we get into the mid to late game, sometimes they're making these incredible, fantastic plays. Sometimes they're getting caught left and right. And sadly, this game has been a mix of both for them. We've seen really solid plays. We've seen Orome getting caught. We've seen Humanoid getting caught. Maybe they can pull it together now as the team has grouped up here around the Baron Pit to lay down a bit of vision. But that's big damage coming in from the Syndra. Double Magic Pen means that Carzzy probably gets one shot if these fights don't go in their favor. The delay on Redemption healing is going to cost them a lot in any potential fights to come, but Fnatic busy elsewhere on the map means that they will give up this tier 1 top tower.
That's difficult in a perfect macro game to keep those tier 1 turrets alive. They are in so close proximity to everything. Fnatic should be able to take a lot of mid lane space, but it seems that they're just hovering around mid lane. Not willing to face check any bushes, while Zoe and Aatrox are showing on top side. I think they could be a bit more aggressive here. But I just thought it was hilarious how Humanoid looted another Redemption and he just used it up top. It's just, he's just calling a service. I need a Redemption, and then the minions are coming in. Hey, okay, UPS.
Excuse me, Riot Games. Can I get a Redemption, please? Oh, thank you. That's how we keep the script going, if you're wondering. We just throw a couple Redemptions in, make things interesting. That's a joke. Some people can't tell when I'm being sarcastic, so I just want to be clear that's a joke, because I'm going to get some conspiracy thread on Reddit like 5 minutes from now about are they serious? Are they doing... No, that's a joke. He's just very lucky. Which, hey, doesn't hurt when you're playing against Fnatic. And right now, still gold even. I'm going to keep saying it because it keeps being the case. But now with Dragon a minute away and Baron up, I am quite concerned for Mad Lions.
I mentioned those items. We have double needlessly large road and that double penetration on Syndra. Finished Infinity Edge. This makes such a huge difference, because if we look at Mad Lions' side, no IE, no double penetration for Humanoid. So this is going to make a big difference in the next fight.
Yeah, Merc Tread's a bit awkward there. It means he will not get one shot by the Syndra with the ultimate, but also means that he's not nearly as lethal to someone like Reckless. Good damage there, though, on the Paddle Star, and consistently trying to use this terrain to extend the range on the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, trying to find that big pick. And there's a Thresh, there's a Gragas, there's a Zoe. All it takes is one really good piece of CC to kick a fight off in favor of Mad Lions.
Mad Lions definitely need to land the right spells. They need to play the poke game, while Fnatic can be a bit more explosive in the way they engage. Hylissang, as long as he gets spotted, I think Mad Lions are very comfortable. Hylissang, I want him to see, I want him to come out behind, maybe W over the wall and look for a flank, because that is going to be the game decided. Mad Lions are looking for him. They know.
Gonna see it. Moving over. Hillsing finds the angle. That is the best recon all I have seen in a very long time, but the follow-up is not there. Now, suddenly, Bwipo dunking back down, and it's ult after ult. It's highlight real material, but we're pulling 2 back to the face breaker, and Fnatic still just absolutely shredding through on this fight. Excellent start from Hillsing. Good follow-up from Bwipo, and now Mad are just left running as the double kill comes through from Nemesis.
My goodness. Hillsing on the Rakan. I can't believe I forgot it in the Champions Select. Zyrakan. And that's the Ocean Sword as well. This is looking grim for Mad Lions.
Yamato, I think Mad forgot about it as well, because you can't forget the Hillsing Rakan. That was excellent engage. It took a little while for the follow-up to get there. I got a little concerned that he may have just ran in for nothing, but when finally the damage came through, it was more than enough. And now it's on a Rome and Shadow to stop this Baron from going down. But with the Ocean Soul, Fnatic are going to be pretty healthy through the entire take.
Bwipo should just chase Gragas around. He's hitting the Nash, and now it's turning into a 50-50. Dangerous stuff. Fourth place, Mad Lions.
Tag's ticked. Can he get it? It's not going to be enough. He goes over the wall. Oh, hero play from Shadow, but he fails the flash to insult to injury. Self-made potentially in trouble here, but Bwipo's going to stick around, brother in arms. Doesn't look like they both want to go to Valhalla, though. Bwipo thinks better of it. He's going to make his way out on this one. Can try to turn, though. If Rome gets too greedy here, Bwipo can look to... He's trying to stall, trying to buy time for the ultimate, waiting on the Haymaker. The Ocean Soul keeping him healthy. So much coming in from that Ocean Soul. The healing here is disgusting. The Haymaker will not connect, but big damage from Nemesis. He is just cleaning house. Double kill in the last fight. Double kill now here around the pit. He's going to fish for the triple. We'll see who gets it in the end, but Mad Lions went from dead... or close, neck and neck in this game, to just getting absolutely blasted.
Fnatic just went for a crazy 50-50. They wanted to go for it, and then Mad Lions seemed to have like a good chase going on. And then Fnatic so ice cold and patiently, like, we can stall this. Whip was running around with his Ocean Soul. He looked pretty dead, but then boom, like a snapping turtle, just snap back, boom. Mad Lions cut in half.
Yeah. Today on this episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive, a set with Ocean Soul refuses to die. And you can see Shadow, he's trying, and then in the moment as he gets pulled back, he panics. I think the pullback stopped that flash from taking him over the wall, and that's just brutal.
That was a rough flash. And then it's so beautiful here. Whip was there, like jogging around, like moving, he's punching a little bit, waiting for cooldowns. Nemesis casually doing blue buff, why not? And then here we go, here comes the snapping turtle, turn around, Bwipo. Actually, I screwed it up. The snapping turtle comes soon. There's the snapping turtle. There we go. Boom, boom, boom.
I mean,
my timing was off.
Matt put the hand in the mouth. You know what I mean? If you put your hand in the mouth of the snapping turtle, and will you expect not to get bitten? So, well played overall by Fnatic. I gotta say, Bwipo was probably counting down the seconds till his ult came back up. He wanted to look for the dunking Aatrox to that back line, but for now, Haymaker is going to have to be the thing that keeps him alive. Ocean Soul and the additional regen on his passive means that he's still living, but Humanoid going to finish that one out. Meanwhile, the rest of Fnatic just looking to end the game, walking down, breaking some inhibitors. They've got bot lane, they've got mid lane, so while Mad got the consolation prize of taking down Bwipo after that last fight, not going to get much else.
One of those situations where I don't mind Bwipo dying, because it's just, I can imagine his voice saying, what are they doing here? They're losing the base. What are they actually doing here? Because they just lost a clean inhib, and maybe with Mad Lion's composition, maybe they could stall out a bit longer, maybe poke with Zoe a little bit. Those extra minions are going to mean that they get a bit of more gold, but I don't think that's going to be the difference maker here. I think Fnatic are very happy to trade one for an inhibitor there.
Yeah, and you look at Bwipo's build, I mean, he's doing well in team fights, but he's also built to split push, so if they're going to send 3 people to kill him, the rest of the team is totally happy with that exchange. Now, good news for Orome is that he does now have the Death Stance, a bit of MR, a bit of armor now with the changes coming through on this patch, additional sustain too. Still think the 1v1 is so hard for him, but we've seen what an Aatrox can do in the right situation in a late game fight. Maybe he can find that flank and get something happening in Mad's favor.
It's also the conversation of playoffs and defining the kind of playstyles of these teams, and Mad Lions is one of those teams where I feel like they have the most success when Orome is playing something that is more weak side oriented, which is fine for an Aatrox most of the time because he's not going to fall that far behind, but I don't feel like Aatrox is going to be impactful enough for Orome in these team fights. I think you need to have like a pristine, crystal clear Aatrox, like a wonder in team fights, coming from those flanks, finding those angles, or
you need
even
that,
further, like the Shy.
Yeah, you need the Shy highlight versus G2, where he just like dunked down. It was against Fnatic. It was against Fnatic, where he just dunked down and killed an entire team with a Q, basically. Like that's what you need, and I'm not sure if Orome has it in him. We'll hold out, but For now, it is just the survival game for Mad. Fnatic can take their time. If they get Elder, the game is over. If they get Baron again, the game is over. So they're really in no rush.
They can just control the space. Hylissang's gonna find that beautiful flank again, because Mad Lions need to face check. And at this point in the game, no one in the game can actually face check. You're gonna face check and you're gonna die. You can pray for 3 redemptions if you want to. The Executioner's Calling is gonna have a lot of value, but that's not gonna save you at all. So Fnatic definitely in control.
Yeah, and important to remember, we've talked about stakes before, but for Mad Lions, they need you to win a single game after Rogue's loss today to secure 4th place in the league. One game. It's either here versus Fnatic or tomorrow versus Origin. One game is all it takes, and while they are down in this game, they're not out yet. They can't afford to get tilted. They can't afford to lose sight of the goal in front of them, because as much as it looks like Fnatic are poised to win, Mad turning this one around is hugely season defining. In the past, 5 versus 6, 4 versus 5 versus 6, like nobody really cared. It was 1 or 2 or nothing. But in this season, with the new rule set, top 4 is everything.
For sure, man. So crazy. I just considering Misfits and Rogue, they don't have that much experience in best of 5s. When I look at Fnatic and G2, they don't kind of care. They just want to kind of win the whole split. That's what they're gunning at. At Lions, the other teams, it's all about that experience. Anything they can take, they should just grab. And this was the moment to grab it. Maybe a steal or some of the miracle Zoe bubbles. Who knows? It needs to happen now.
Nemesis right now setting for the pick in the bush. You can see him just spamming Dark Spheres just to make sure that ult's going to do as much damage as possible. Bwipo trying to get some mid lane control. Karzi set to clear out the wave on the side. Everything is about setting up for this objective for both these teams. But right now, Nemesis is fishing for the pick. Ooh, good cast, good knockback. Shadow tries to go over the wall, but it's not going to happen. The re-engages there. A beautiful Zanya, so to buy a bit more time. The redemption coming in as well. Humanoid. Oh, the team. Are you kidding me? Fnatic, gods of team fighting here in the LEC. And now they're just taking their time with it. They're running them down, and Arome can't do anything. Hylissang's got the fancy shoes on. He's moving so fast, and Arome might get the lantern out to safety, but that is most certainly the end of the game as Kaiser is just next on the list. Double kill for Reckless. He'll look to make it a triple as Fnatic will just barrel down the bottom lane and close this game out.
Honestly, that Zoe playing peekaboo, showing up, Whipple picks him up, slams him down, and Fnatic, sure, Mad Lions, they still can live to fight another day tomorrow, but for today, crushing Mad Lions' dreams.
Beautiful win from Fnatic, gotta say it. Really, Mad Lions doing okay at the start of the game, but never really advantaged, just at best going even. And when Fnatic started to get rolling, there was just nothing left. You just couldn't do it. Ocean Soul was probably the final nail in the coffin, and Mad Lions were just slowly watching themselves lose the game. Brutal way to go out. But as you said, they have to stay composed. They have to play Origin tomorrow, and a win there will still lock them in top 4 and lock both Misfits and Rogue out.
Honestly, Fnatic just showing what top European class means. It's all about those small victories all over the map, the CS advantages, the movements, the pickoffs on, like for example, Gragas before the Rift Herald, the way Selfmade played that little fight, all these small pieces that eventually amounts to the situation where, okay, the enemy team has an IE advantage over the BF and the pickaxe, and all of a sudden that 4th Drake fight looks so much easier for Fnatic because of all of these small advantages, just Fnatic with a very, very clinical performance.
Overall, yeah, it looked fantastic and some highlight reel moments as well. I think we had multiple beautiful ults from both Hylissang and Bwipo, the kind of setup that you love to see. And looking back at that game, I mean, I just think that what we're seeing from Fnatic and Draft, I'm so ready for Fnatic versus G2. That's really all it is. I can think of a million different ways to say it, but that's the bottom line. I'm just so ready for Fnatic versus G2 because Fnatic are doing all the crazy stuff in Draft that I love to see from G2. And they're looking stronger and stronger. And even though G2 2-0'd them this season, I feel like a best of 5 of that is everything I could possibly want.
It's going to be so crazy. It's crazy how fast the split has gone by, because that best of 5 is what we've been thinking about ever since we saw them play the last time. And now being so close to it is just absolutely insane. It's going to be an absolute banger. Mad Lions on the other side. I think they showed some promise here in this game against Fnatic. Definitely, if they play like this against Origin, I think this is going to be a competitive game, because I think Origin will not be the type of team that kind of rolls over you. And I think Mad Lions, if someone told me no name tags here, who's this team, I'll be like, oh, this could potentially look like an Origin level of gameplay. And I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. The last time Xerxes absolutely demolished them in the jungle, the Shadow with the Karthus. If Mad Lions don't do something like that where they just lose the game in 5 minutes, I think it's going to be a very competitive game.
And I just never know what to expect from Mad Lions Yamato. Sometimes they look incredible. Sometimes they look a little bit lost. We're going to have to find out. But in the meantime, Kia Player of the Game at Twitter is the place. At LEC is the account. Blippo, Selfmade, or Hilly are your options.